I have to say, I am loving this new trend with all the national parks on their TikTok pages, just putting out the most greatest videos. If you haven't seen it, you need to go check it out. It's freaking hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Yellowstone and all the other parks out there, they're in like this war of just creating all these little sexy videos. I like calling it sexy time, sexy music. And it's just, it's such a breath of fresh air for me personally. I love it. I think it's great. I think so many of us get so wrapped up in being such a prude and just walking throughout our day with our head held so high in our own little thoughts of whatever those are for all of us, right? That we just lose sight of, being yourself and being funny and, the human experience and intimacy and genuineness towards one another, and we've just totally unplugged from that. And I think that we are finding ourselves too, where you have a lot of grumpy people in positions of whatever that looks like for them. You can always tell a grumpy person. You just can. Whether they're in a grumpy marriage, they're in a grumpy relationship, they're in a grumpy position at their office. They're just grumpy because they, truth be told, because they know what they've done to lead up to today in this moment. And that's why they're grumpy. Instead of going through and healing and taking accountability and being like, you know what, I'm grumpy today and this is why I'm grumpy, and what can I do to change myself to where I'm not grumpy tomorrow. And a lot of the times people don't want to do that, because in order to get to that tomorrow and not be grumpy, they're going to have to take accountability in the things that they did to make them grumpy yesterday. And that's really hard for a lot of people. A lot of people like to be right. A lot of people don't want to accept accountability. A lot of people don't want to sweat. They want to sweat the small stuff, get hung up on a small error, get hung up on mispronouncing a word, get hung up on not being able to read proficiently, get hung up on not building a Excel sheet or whatever the case may be perfect, and then you get caught up in this realm of things where you always want to be right. And then when you're not right, it messes up your day. You then get a bit grumpy and like, oh man, that's a boo-boo. That's a snag. Uh-oh, let me fix that error. And the next time I'll make sure not to do it, and it's like one of those things. I think we get also caught up in just the menial stuff instead of just really looking at the big picture. Life is so short. We shouldn't get caught up in just the littlest things. And if you're, one of those people where you've made really unfavorable decisions and you've stepped on the bandwagon of perhaps being bought and paid for and blackmailed and coerced, and you've made choices and decisions that you're like, those weren't great. And we've all made choices, that aren't great. Hello, it's called lifing, right? But you're going to allow whatever choices that you made in the brink of whatever you were in those mere moments of your choices, be the thing that defines you. Because if you're not able to meet it where it's at and accept accountability and kind of get to the other side of why you made that choice, why you partaked, whether it was your desire for money, whether it was your desire for power, whether it was your desire for greed, whether it was based off hearsay from somebody else and then stop jumping on the bandwagon of gossiping. I mean, there's just so many different woven pieces that we can all put into this, right? And that's what interconnects us all, because it's just the human anatomy. We're all the same. It doesn't matter what color you are. We all bleed the same. Our bodies are made the same. And so it's just so comical to me that we are all the same, but yet we go against each other for whatever reason. That's something you're going to have to decide on yourself. But if you allow your choices of the past to continually put you in a bad headspace because you know what you did. And then instead of accepting accountability, you then overindulge, you overbuy. You're worried about the same colors or the same schemes in your house. You're worried about what kind of car you drive. You're worried about your investments. You're worried about your money. But at the end of the day, when you go to lay down, you're still not happy. You're still not satisfied. You're still not satisfied. You still don't have the peace within you that you're trying to buy. And the reason why you don't have it within you is why? Because you can't buy peace. Peace is not something you can buy. Love is not something you can buy. Freedom is not something you can buy. Freedom is within. Love is within. Peace is within. And the only way to get to a place to achieve all those different characteristics is to accept accountability and be like, man, I am not perfect. I am not right. I made some crappy decisions. And I've jumped on bandwagons and I've put myself in a situation that's not favorable. And now I got to figure out how to get out of it. And the only way to get out of it is to accept accountability and quit living a lie. Quit living a lie. I get so tired of surrounding myself around people that live a lie. It's just absolutely ludicrous. I'll be dang if I'm going to allow people in my world chastise me and throw invisible stones and invisible dirt based off he said, she said in the back, when ain't nobody capable of coming to talk to me up front. It took me a long time to recognize that, because I was like, what in the world is going on in my life? Why are these people doing these things? Why am I surrounded by all of these different scenarios that make not one bit of sense? What the heck is going on? What did I do to deserve this type of treatment? What did I do? I was so confused. And the only thing I could go in and figure out was like, okay, I wasn't perfect. I needed some healing. You know? And so I went in and I healed. And then it still continued. And I'm like, okay, what the heck? And so it's one of those things. You know? And I don't know. I don't know what the trajectory of the future looks like. Nobody knows that. But what I do know, this is what I 100% do know, is that nobody within this sphere, within this world, within this universe, has the control that they think they have. And if you find yourself in whatever sphere or whatever you do throughout your day, and you find yourself a person that thinks you carry an abundance of control, I can assure you that somewhere down the line, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, something's going to happen. And it's going to be pretty prevalent, where it's going to sit you down and you're going to realize that you never had control. That God was just allowing you to move the pieces in your life the way that you were, because it was your free will to make those choices to be in control. And then he knew that later on down the road, it was going to blow up in your face. Because why? The world was not designed for people to become in said power and control and then create havoc in this world where you have humanity suffering in the way that it is. You have children suffering the way that they are. And we all play our own part, because it starts with us. It's always started with us. It just has. And I know that sometimes I go deep and sometimes my videos don't make sense, and I get that, but it's just kind of how I think. So I love you guys. I hope everybody has a great day. I got to work both my jobs today, so it's going to be a busy day, but I love you. Happy Tuesday.